and welcome back. In this early adopter edition, we're going to be talking about my first version, versioning in general. In system and software engineering, version refers to the process of managing and controlling changes to artifacts, such as models, code, documents, or other deliverables over the life cycle of the effort or project. It ensures that the teams can track, organize, and maintain multiple iterations or versions of these artifacts to support project or effort delivery effectively. The key aspects of versioning are to change tracking change, baseline management, collaboration, configuration management, delivery support, and of course, historical references. In Sparx Enterprise Architect, versioning is integrated into its modeling environment, enabling software engineers and system designers to manage UML models and other artifacts seamlessly. So in this session, we're going to just touch on the very beginning when you first install Sparx, how to get ready for versioning, as well as some simple versioning objectives when you're starting any project, delivery, or modeling exercise. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about starting a project with proper versioning. And in this case, proper means following your versioning strategy. Each company may be following industry standards or variations of those standards to ensure that they're able to track versions of anything across any delivery. The most important thing that I always say is that get a version strategy that works and then consistently use it from that day forward. So make sure it's right in order to track your changes across your programs and projects for, I don't want to say forever, because methodologies change and you want to keep up with it. So the first time that you launch Sparx, and I'm in the default layout, browser on the left, properties in the upper right, and notes in the lower right, all right? You're going to go to the Start tab, you're going to go to Preferences, and in Preferences, the first thing that's going to pop up is Author. So in your version, and this is only in your instance, you're putting what is going to show up as the author in every element, that's package or elements, even everything else that's going forward. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to roll down to objects right here. And you're going to notice that you have version starting and phase, all right? Now, this version and this phase will be applied to every element. You'll see this in a moment, as well as who authored that particular element, version and phase. Now, when you start out, this is 1.0 is the default during installation. As I've stated in other videos, I changed this to 0.1. Every element starting from the very beginning, I'm using a minor versioning scheme that starts at 0.1, not 0.0. Some start literally at 0.0. I wouldn't do that. This is the first. You're just stating that this is the first. And when you achieve a major version, it will change to 1.0. and then eventually 1.01. Now, we're going to talk about when to set versions, what versioning is, and everything going forward from there. There's a lot more to do when you're setting your preferences, but I talk about that in previous videos. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and let's get right into it. All right, so we don't have anything. This is our root folder right here. It has model in it. You can hit function key 2 and change the name here. We're going to leave it at model for this demonstration to anything you want. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a package in here, and we're just going to call this package, I don't know, version project. All right. So anything that is meaningful, it doesn't matter for this. And we're going to create a diagram inside of that, right? So we've got that checked, all right? And it's going to bring up, and we're just going to create a class diagram in here. And there we go. And in our class diagram, let's bring in our toolbox right here. I want it over on the left of browser. So we've got a toolbox. We have a blank diagram in here with the same name. Let's just add an element. We're going to leave it class 1, the default, and then we're going to open it up to look at the full dialog. All right. So in this, you see that it's starting with version 01 and phase 1.0. And you can change phase to anything you want. We're not talking about phase in this. It could be R1 for release 1. It could be whatever your sprint or project release ID is for a particular deployment, anything you want. But let's focus on version. So you notice that it comes in by default 01, right? So there we go. That is our first element and our first version. Another place to manage this is over in the property. So properties in the upper right, you can see within the general category, here's version number. We can make changes right here on all sorts of things, right? The name, the version. And as you go down into project and unfold this, you can see phase. But I'm going to stop talking about phase the rest of the video. We're focused on version. So that's at the element level. Let's look at the properties of the diagram. When you're looking at the diagram, if we're going to go over properties, you see it also started out at 01, right? And if we double click in here to bring up the property dialog box, we can see version 01. What about the package? Let's go to the package. The package is set to version 01. So because how we set in our preferences that everything needs to start at 01, everything you create will be the starting version number. And then as you're going through and making changes to the element, and we're going to talk more about when to make changes in just a second here, but you would change it right here to 02. There you go. As you're publishing diagrams, you would change the diagram to 02, significant changes, whatever your decisioning is for versioning, as well as the package. You can change the package to 02 as you're moving forward. All right. Now we'll talk about this later in a more advanced session, but you can also put your packages under package control. So we go to the settings tab if you're allowed to, and you'll see in version control, package VC or version control. We're not going to talk about project version control. That's a more advanced session where we're connecting to our SCC, our software control, code control, but we're going to focus on package VC. So we're going to go ahead and select this. We're going to put this package right here under control. Let's go ahead and leave this checked over here for all packages. Create placeholders for external references, again, covered in a more advanced version. Now, we're going to choose native XML as our XML, XMI, metadata interchange. XMI stands for exports. You're just setting it in here as you're configuring package control. Now notice that it says version 02 right here. And the reason is because this package, if you remember correctly, we set it to version 02, right? What we're going to do here is we're going to change this back to 01 here, and then we're going to hit OK, right? This is you must enter a valid file name or browser namespace. Let's just go ahead and select whatever this folder is. All it's doing is it's configuring where this versioning is going to take place. And so you'll set the target. Now let's hit OK, right? Now, as soon as we did that, look what happened to the package. It has a red marker on it, meaning it's under package control. And if we look over in the properties, it changed the package and any sub packages to 01. Packages, not elements. The element is still 02. You see this? Let's look at the diagram. The diagram is still at 02. But what we said in version control here for the package is that we want to start at 01. So whatever we have done before we started package version control was going to be reset to our configuration. And you'll learn more about this in the channel when we get into time-aware modeling and other project implementations. And the last but most important version control practice is baselining in Sparx. So I have a video on that. What we're going to do is hit Control, Alt, and B while we're on this package, because this is the package we're baselining. And you can see the package name, version project, pretty simple. We only have one package in here. We're going to go New Baseline, and I always start with 01. You can put as much information down here as you want. I'm going to leave the date and time in there, and then I'm going to hit OK. So now I have a baseline version of 01. I'm going to close, and we're going to add in some other class elements. Just a second one, a third one. Maybe we're going to draw some, let me see as I get this lined up here. We're going to draw some associations. Right here, we'll just draw a simple association. We'll draw an association to here. Something like this, all right? Of course, your models may get much more complicated. We're going to go ahead and hit Save. And we're going to version this. Why are we going to version this now? So the rule of thumb for versioning a model element or a diagram is an element, a package is an element, in system and software engineering is to version it whenever a significant or meaningful change is made that impacts the design, functionality, and understanding of whatever you're modeling, the system, right? This ensures that changes are documented, traceable, and reversible if needed. And that's why it's important to use baselining as the easiest form of versioning. Now, before we baseline, let's have some fun. We're going to import a bring in, I want to say. We're going to hit the space bar, do it again, slower here. Going too fast, huh? Hit the space bar. That brings up the quick access menu. It's a lot faster than going over here, scrolling all the way down to common elements, and we're going to bring in an image right here. But I'm going to do it this way: spacebar, common elements, image, and we're bringing in an image element. It's just really a boundary to put an image in. It doesn't have any properties. And let's pick our UML operator logo. I could pick anything you want. We're going to do that. There we go. Let's size this, something like that. And now we've brought in the elements, the significant changes, and we're going to baseline this package. Now, Boundary doesn't have the properties to do versioning yet. Over in the property window, you can set a version. Let's just do 02 on that, right? Now let's baseline this. So we're going to hit Control, Alt, and B to bring up the baseline dialog. We're going to create a new baseline. This is going to be what? 02. Date and time, go ahead and accept it. And there we go. Now we have this baseline. And we can compare to see what changes took place from this last baseline. Let's go ahead and show differences. Brings up the difference window here. You can see it's got a green marker here. I'm in version 17, Sparx version 17, build 1704. And so there's some changes in how this window looks between version 6 and previous versions to version 17. But green means new, blue means change, all right? So these are the changes that have taken place based on this baseline compare. But I hope that this has been helpful for you. It's very important. Versioning, just like reporting, is an afterthought. And a lot of people are not starting off with the proper versions or versioning. They're not managing their versioning. So now you know, well, did I make a significant change? It's going to impact whatever my objective is, for instance, delivery or even a presentation. When you make a presentation to your stakeholders, you're kind of setting in stone what it looks like right now. You may even be publishing some reports that are going to be static in your document management repository that need to be properly referenced and tracked. So certainly when you're doing a presentation to stakeholders, you've just gotten approval from stakeholders on a particular design, that is the time where you version. And often people forget to version the elements, the diagrams, the packages, and it can get you into a little bit of trouble, all right? So let me know if you have any questions, concerns down below. I'll try to get back to it. I'll also try to put links to some of the previous videos that I talked about. And until that next episode, happy modeling.